So let's call the meeting to order at whatever time it is.
6:03 is what I have.
6:03 p.m. We have a quorum. We still got somebody connecting, but first thing on the agenda is any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, if I see none, so the only thing I'm gonna ask is that after we do the consent and members of the public, that we move Steve and Ken from the Prudential Committee up above central office and members of the staff. Does anybody have a problem with that? Valerie, did you want to say something? Oh, she what?
She's just joining.
Oh,
she's
just
also
joining.
in that. See that? She's in twice.
Oh,
Hey, Richard,
yeah.
it's Laura.
Hi, Laura.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I'm joining remotely. How long do you anticipate the conversation taking with the Prudential Committee? Because I know our SU staff is really super taxed right now. So if we can get them out first, that would be my preference. I'm going to defer to you, Richard, because I know you have a better sense of what's going on. But if it is possible to have our SU staff go first, that would be my preference.
There is no SU staff tonight. That's why I'm moving them
That
up.
answers the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. So if there's nobody else, I have the consent agenda, and we, because of some questions on minutes, we haven't done the December 6th, December 20th, or January 3rd minutes. Is everybody good with them? Mark, I know you had a question, but I think you were okay after you looked at it. I really hate these.
He's on mute, that's why.
I'll wait a minute.
Sorry, this is what I get for using a 10-year-old computer to do Zoom calls. As long as what's his name made the one change. Peter, thank you. And I honestly I don't remember what it was at this point.
Okay. Is there anybody else have a problem with that? And you have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay, there is no correspondence, so unless I hear an objection, by unanimous consent, we're going to adopt the minutes of the December 6th, 20th, and January 3rd meetings. Mark, what you asked to be corrected, I think we did right in the meeting. So it should be on the following minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. And then members of the public, I've got Mike and Ashley Porter and Amelia Nick, I believe is public. Do you, either one of you got anything for us, or are y'all all set and just here to see what's happening?
This is 2 years of usage, I guess, and it's 1.7.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Mike? Ashley?
Yeah, we're all set. We're just going to listen and thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. So I'm gonna go, Steve, I'm gonna go to you and Ken then, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so we've got Steve Montello to my immediate right and Ken Westby to my second right. And Steve's chairman of the Prudential Committee and Ken is the treasurer of the Prudential Committee. The Prudential Committee, it's a weird name. They run the sewer plant, the poopy plant. And they're elected officials like we are elected. We are at the Dover School about 30 years ago, when Dick Kaufman was the chairman of the Dover School Board. They took surpluses from several years, and they wound up with $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000, and they decided that eventually they were going to enlarge the school. And I don't know if people know this, but where you park in front of the Dover School and where the drop-off is, that used to be the septic system for the Dover Elementary School. So to expand and do anything more, the town voted to put a sewer line from the school. Mark, are you all set? Oh, I saw you being yellow. So they put a sewer line from the school to the sewer plant. At that time, the sewer plant had no connections to the east of the plant. Everything was to the west. Obviously, that's where most of the construction was. Hobie Terhune did the work, and it actually cost quite a bit less than we thought. And after the first couple of years, there was a lot of issue with the line would freeze up because there was nobody on it. So when school was closed, there was no sewage going down it. So they started hooking up. The people across the street hooked up first. Used to be the Lister, and then they've actually had several other people hook up. Some of the lots in Dover Manor have hooked up, and some of the places in Sugar House Heritage. So what we used to do is we would the sewer plant wouldn't charge us and we wouldn't charge them for stuff. So, and that was more of a town-wide thing. But the Prudential Committee decided that they did some research and they found that was illegal. So if you guys want to talk to that or,
Oh, I can if you'd like, sure.
okay.
Thanks, Rich. And Rich certainly has a lot more history going back before 2020 than Ken and I certainly do. But back in 1972, there was a drive to put a sewer district in place at Mount Snow because of the development that was ongoing, especially with Mount Snow. And the sewer plant became a sewer plant district in 1972. So moving forward, a lot of developments like Green Springs, Kingswood, Seasons, they all paid for all the infrastructure to be done, as well as the town, the school did, to hook up to the sewer plant. So I got elected in 2021 to the Prudential Committee in May. I became chairman. Ken got elected in June, and we started doing a lot of research and trying to get all our records tidied up there. And it came to our attention that there was a number of organizations that were not getting charged for sewer or the bond that was in place at the time. We had an opinion rendered by our attorney. The town had an opinion rendered by their attorney, and we determined that it was by state statute that we were required to charge everyone for sewer usage that was coming through the sewer plant. So there's a lot of information, quid pro quo, what was going on, who wasn't charging for things. So we're trying to get our arms around also what perhaps the Board of Education or the schools and the town is providing free of services to the sewer district. And of course, anything that we agree to will pay appropriately in the opposite direction. But right now, effective January 1st, the Prudential Committee determined that they're going to start charging all the people that were not on, did not have a meter, was getting charged accordingly. So I was asked by Rich to come here and answer any questions that you guys may have. But that's sort of the 5-second synopsis, because I know Laura Sevilla wants to go.
No, she's here for the meeting. So one of the things is when we were trying to finalize the budget, because I had talked with Steve ahead of time, we just wanted to get a handle on what the sewage cost was for the school. So because we're a public water system, we're required to file a monthly water usage report with the state. So we asked Matt to have his people go through and just see what the usage was over the last couple of years. Now, unfortunately, the usage isn't exactly what we would normally use, because if you remember, 2 years ago, we closed early and then we did remote 1 day a week. And this year, it's been a little scattered. But if you look at it, it's pretty close for the last 2 years. So we run about 200,000 gallons. Does that seem to make sense to you guys?
It does.
No, not sure. Oh, I know Ken gave me a shrug.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
Yeah. So we're probably, maybe if we get a heavier usage and more stuff going on in the school after school and stuff, it may go up a little bit, but you figure 200,000, if that, how much could that increase?
And even speaking to that, 200,000 gallons is about what Kingswood does, or Seasons does, or Green Springs does on a monthly basis. So annualized, it seems pretty normal that the public, that the school system would do it annually. In addition, when we took over, the rates were 3.5 cents. So the rates have gone down in half since we took over the Prudential Committee, or almost in half. Just
I
as
wouldn't
a
say you took over. There's just been a change in some of the members.
Yes, all the members.
All the members. So anyways, so it looks like we're gonna be, roughly using the bond repayment, and we can, did we send this out to everybody?
This did not go out.
Okay, so they did a little graph, we'll send that out. So it's looking worst case scenario at 1.7 cents. It's around $5,200 with the bond repayment. And if it's in the 1124, that was what you charged last year? I was confused where the,
I don't know where that number came from, so we are here to testify that right now the rate is 1.7 cents, and we determine the rate twice a year based on usage in November and in May
and then you bill for that usage from that
for
period.
the previous period of time based on the budget, the operating expenses of the North Branch Sewer District.
So it was 1.7 this past April 1st billing. The billing before that was substantially higher.
No, November 1st.
November 1st, sorry.
Right, because we won't, right.
November 1st bill.
So, again, it's a little confusing, but I just thought instead of and I see Laura, you got your hand up, so I'll get to you. So that's basically, kind of the history of it. So Laura, go ahead. Oh, Peter's here now. Laura?
Yeah, hi, thank you, Rich. And thanks for this information. I have a few questions. So what percentage, how many, how large is the group of folks that were not being charged?
5.
No, more than that, wasn't it?
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider for the town.
Yeah, well, for the town, Laura, it used to be the town office, the Westover Firehouse, the police station, the school.
And then
Twice Blessed
Well,
and
yeah.
the church
the church and Dover Historic Society.
and Historic Society. So 7, I guess.
So there was, I guess, 4 town buildings and 3 like charity nonprofits that they would, just like we vote to not charge tax to certain people at town meeting, they would do it at their annual meeting.
So I'm just interested in how big of a number that was. So it was the town and the school district. Were there any other entities? You don't need to name them, but were there other entities?
We named the entities already, Laura, so we said the Twice Blessed, their Congregational Church, and the Dover Historic Society, and we don't know how big that number is because some of them didn't have meters. So fortunately, you're a public water system at the Dover Town School, so you knew what your consumption is, so you can equate the dollars, but the other places didn't have water meters.
Okay, and have you done, so you've spoken with your attorney, the town's spoken with their attorney. Richard, have we spoken with our attorney?
No, because I didn't see any reason to spend the money because the town attorney and the fire district attorney, who are 2 different attorneys, are kind of in agreement. So it appears as though, but that's something we could do if the board wants to. And Mark, I'll get to you when Laura's done.
Yep, I'm not sure if that's something that I want to do or not, but I do want to make sure that we understand all of the opportunities here, particularly thinking about some of the other nonprofits that are now being charged. So is it possible for the Prudential Committee or for the voters of the district to vote to allow those properties?
No,
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I understand
sorry.
your question, Laura, so, no, the answer to your question is no. The voters of the Prudential Committee can only vote on 2 things. One is the budget, and 2 are the Prudential Committee members for election.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm sorry, I know our connection is probably a little spotty. I'm on the side of the road, so I'll try and make sure that it's clearer when I'm through talking. So that is information that I think we should just double check in terms of the law and understanding, not to, I believe that is the current law, but just to look at that, Richard, and see if there are, we can talk about that with the legislature, actually. See if there's an opportunity that we could provide. I know that that is an opportunity that towns have to forego. And so maybe that's something we want to provide to the committee as an option. I guess my next question is are there any plans in the works to expand past the school at this point?
Good question. That's going to be sort of our next.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. I think that's going to be sort of the next plan of the Prudential Committee is to look at the expansion. We want to hook up more users. There's lots of capacity left at the North Branch Sewer District. So the more users we get on the North Branch Sewer District, the rates will go down for everybody, right? So that's our next 6 months. We've been there since we've been there. The committee has been in place since last May, June, and there's been a lot of work and a lot of effort at this point. So that's sort of our next go round.
Okay, great. That's really helpful, Steve. So one of the things that I'm aware, there is a tremendous amount of funding right now, and I expect in the next few years for public infrastructure. And I think we have really an imperative to make sure that we have water and sewer infrastructure in our town for our future. We know that with climate change, that is going to become a real imperative. And it's something that we have from time to time worked on with the town. What is the Prudential Committee and the sewer district's disposition to working with the town and others, perhaps the school district, on a public water system looking to leverage the federal funding that is available right now?
Good question. So speaking specifically to the sewer system, not water, because we're only doing the sewer side, we've already applied for federal grants through the town last year. And so it's a little bit frustrating for us because the federal money is coming through the town of Dover rather than us being able to go direct to the state or direct to the federal government. So anything you can do to streamline that process, Laura, would be fantastic because we have a complete capital reserve study that's done for 30 years. Any monies that we can garner are going to go to savings, to our users in the North Branch Fire District.
That's helpful information, Steve. And so the second part of my question is, does the fire district, are they predisposed? Do they have a position? Are they open to working with the town and the school district on also pursuing previous work that has been done to look at a public water system, which is equally important to try and leverage at this moment? Is that something that it seems like it would be something pretty connected to the sewer district. So I'm specifically interested in if there is a position at if you all have taken a position about working on public water.
So I can speak with two hats on. As the North Branch Fire District Chairman, we have not taken a position. Obviously, I manage 1,000 condos in Dover with the largest water systems here. So that puts me in an awkward position to have an open discussion right now on that topic.
Right. Well, of course, certainly. This is a public meeting on public interest.
Right.
And we're talking about the potential for very significant public funds to be utilized to expand really critical infrastructure in the town of Dover that I believe is really key to our future, particularly around climate change. So I appreciate that you have a potential personal difference of opinion. Certainly we all encounter that in our public service. So is there a way for us to follow up? And maybe, and by us, I mean those that are interested, perhaps some of my colleagues on the school board, perhaps some on the select board. Is there a way for us to follow up formally with the Prudential Committee on looking to both expand sewer and public water quickly with the federal funds that are now available?
Absolutely. Just anytime you want to have a meeting, we meet on the second Wednesday of every single month. So anytime, you have my phone number, you have my cell number, so you can call and set up a coffee with maybe a small group just to have a conversation.
What I was asking about is more of a formal way. Is there a formal way that we could approach the Prudential Committee about that if there was a group that was interested in speaking with you formally? And how would we do that?
Just call Helen and get put on the agenda for our second Wednesday in February.
That is fantastic information. Mr. Chair, I appreciate you giving me so much time, and I'm done with my questions. Thank you so much for coming tonight, gentlemen.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Can you email us a copy of the letter from your attorney?
I think we gave it to Jeanette, so I
Yeah, but
can,
that's different, that's
no
a town,
problem.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So if
That's
you
easy.
email it to me, then I'll get it to everybody, and I think that would help, and then they can look at it. So just before Mark, I know you're next, and you've been very patient. So I just asked, I don't know if everybody hears everything, but Steve's gonna send us an email of the letter from their attorney, and I'll ask the town for the letter from their attorney, and we'll get that to people, and then we can discuss that at the next meeting. If you guys wanna talk to another attorney, that's fine. Or if you don't, that's fine too. So Mark, you're up, sorry for the wait.
Oh, no problem. So I had three questions. You just answered one of them. I was gonna ask about the letters. And Laura asked the other one of the others in regards to public water system. The third is, does the fire district pay taxes?
We do not pay taxes as by state statute. We're not required to pay taxes since we're a nonprofit. We do pay taxes to Wilmington right now for a piece of our property is there, and we're gonna dispute that tax as well. It's $5,000 a year.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyways, okay, I'm sorry, Dwight, go ahead.
Thanks, Rich. Question for you. You guys mentioned about the attorney. So was the town of Dover determined that they were required to pay the tax to the North Branch? Is that they did decide that?
From what I recall, and I don't have the letter, but the town attorney pretty much agreed with the North Branch's attorney, and they were actually two different attorneys from two different firms.
Yes, Dwight, to answer your question, yes.
Oh, okay, great. So then the other question I had was, you mentioned about meters. Is there a meter in the Dover school, and who would bear the cost of installing that meter?
There is, isn't there?
There is a meter. We're about to upgrade to a fancier meter.
And we pay for
The
it.
cost, yeah.
And the school has to pay for the meter?
Yeah, so the North Branch has actually, and I believe it's a worthwhile endeavor. But Steve said he was gonna pay for it as a donation to the school, because his kids enjoyed our school system so well. Your kids even go here, did they?
No.
Okay. His kids would have enjoyed it. But, so the North Branch, as a lot of you may know, their meters are through a cellular service, and you can monitor your water usage remotely, which has been a really great benefit, because a lot of times, not so much lately, but in the old days, you would get a call, hey, this house that we haven't seen any usage for 3 months now is using 100 gallons a minute. You may have a problem. So, and obviously it's good for the fire district because it prevents a lot of water being treated that may not need to be treated. So it is a good upgrade. Do we know what it's gonna cost?
We haven't gotten a quote yet from the plumber, but it's in progress.
Yeah, the meter's 500 from us,
500.
Yeah.
and then install them,
So it's a $500 meter, and because, in the state of Vermont, if you're on public water or public sewer, you have to have a licensed plumber do the install. And then the fire district sends one of their people up, and then they hook up they put a seal on it, and they make sure that the remote reader's gonna work. And again, we have had one in the past because we're required to meter, for the state for water consumption. And it seems like a lot of work, but let me tell you folks, one of the reasons we went and spent, a few $100,000 to run the sewer line is because we had a quote to replace the septic system in excess of $100,000 back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And we actually, too, a public water system that Laura spoke about would make a lot of sense, because one of the issues is that we used to have showers at the school, at the Dover building, because next to the gym in the rooms, you could play basketball and take a shower. It was set up like a gym, and we had to shut those off because we couldn't generate enough water from the well to be able to have that. So we had to lower our water consumption. And it was also a good thing too, because when we hooked in the fire district, we had to do a lot of low flow water stuff. So we did a lot of conservation at the school. Is there anything else from the board or public? Mark, are you all set? Your hand's still up. No, I guess you're all set.
All right,
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure. Anybody else? Okay, so I forgot one thing, and we were having a little conversation. So several years ago, and I don't remember exactly when, we were working with the town and we were gonna try to do solar up at the school. And there was a lot of federal money, so people could get huge tax breaks, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax breaks, if they spent the money to put in solar. So Dover jumped on that fairly early. The Dover school did, and we were responsible to get off-takers. And so we did the town of Dover, we did the school, and we went to Mount Snow, and Mount Snow was very interested. They use a lot of electricity, and then we said, hey, we got to do the fire district because that's going to help people in Dover more than giving it to Mount Snow. And the fire district uses a huge amount of electricity.
94,000 a year.
Yeah, so a huge amount. So they actually took all that was left. And the deal is with the solar array, we had 2 or 3 different companies bid on it, and we actually got our decision was made because one company offered us a 15% credit on our electric bills, and the other ones offered us 10. So with Act 60 and 68 and all that other neat stuff, we went to the town and to the fire district and said, do you guys want to save 10%? You can have the 10%, we want the 5%, so our savings at the school would actually be 25%. Not really, because it's higher, because they spend the most. They spend more than the town and the school, I think, put together. At some point, Chip, who was on the board and was the CFO up at Mount Snow, was supposed to have taken care of this and pass it off to the treasurer, who was Patty Westlake, and then it was supposed to, and I guess somewhere in between that got lost. So we're trying to do some research and having a discussion with that too, because that was one of the benefits we had with the fire district, and it was so the fire district is actually trying to figure out exactly what money is being spent and where the money is, and to make sure it's fair for all the users. So we still are looking for that, and everybody's changed. There's no Prudential committee members left. There's no administrative person who was there at the time. So we're looking into that, but we'll figure, I guess we're just gonna have to figure that out in the future.
So just to add to that, Rich, it started in 2014 actually, and so we went back through all the minutes. There's some discussions in the minutes from the Prudential Committee in 2014 and 2015. We actually represent 55% of the usage of the entire district. We have no signed contracts by a Prudential Committee member. We have no contracts with the small group that was created with the solar farms. So we're requesting the information as well, like you're requesting the legal attorney letter for us to send you. We're requesting either minutes or contracts or documentation, any attorney's opinions that you got on whether this was the right thing to do back then, for us to be able to have all the information at hand as well. So
and unfortunately, it was a Vermont thing. We didn't get lawyers involved and we didn't sign contracts, and that's shame on me. So unfortunately, but we'll look into it. I'm sure they're gonna do the right thing by us, like we're doing the right thing by them. So are you guys all good?
Yep, thank you. Yep.
Does anybody have any more questions for them other than, can they run a spur line to Wardsboro? Okay, I thank you.
I would seriously be interested in that answer to that, actually.
Bye, Laura. Good talking to you.
I don't think you're gonna see that today.
Ultimately, we want to get more users, right? It's about how, Laura, if there's federal money available to drop a line into to Wardsboro, we would love it. There's no doubt about it.
Fabulous.
But I know Rich could probably tell you, to run a sewer line down Blue Brook is going to be $1 million. To run it down Blue Brook to pick up 15 houses, right? So what are the economics? And like Rich had said in the beginning, you guys paid for your sewer hookup from the school, to the sewer line to down to the North Branch, as well as Kingswood did the same thing, and Seasons did the same thing, and Green Springs and Timber Creek did the same thing. But now there's not money available to do that, right, without being creative, getting some federal money. And Ken and I actually have been working on the numbers because, we come from Connecticut where they would install sewers and charge you an assessment over so many years then it got paid back. And when you start running some simple numbers that Ken and I have run, it may make sense to put these $1 million hookups in, because the hookup charge alone per house is about $20,000 anyways, that we would garner, right, for someone to hook up to the system. So it makes more sense than I think anybody ever thought. So we want to add more people to the system. We're only at, we do 40 million gallons of effluent through the plant. The plant at one time during the X Games did 66 million gallons of effluent through North Branch Fire District. We have a capacity, we run 150,000 gallons per day through the North Branch Fire District. We have 250,000 gallons per day available to sell or to add to the system.
On top of that.
On top of that, it's a huge number. And like I said, we did a 30-year reserve study. We're all planned and prepared to continue to maintain that plant with a 500,000 gallon a day effluent through the plant.
Yeah, our axe actually for the next 6-12
Yeah.
months is finding more users.
Yeah.
To spread the cost, because it's a lot of fixed costs. It's not a lot of variable costs. So the more users, the cheaper it is.
Laura, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. So, I would just note that excess capacity paired with available public water could go a very, very long way towards diversifying the economy, as well as protecting the town and the town residents as we have to adapt to climate change. So again, I hope that we're able to find some way to work together. I come from the school of thought that we should never start by saying we can't do it because we don't have the money. First, we should figure out what we want to do, what it'll take to do it, and then see if we can find the money. And good plans are often able to be funded. So as I said, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. It sounds like you all have been researching that yourselves. So I would just encourage you to think bigger than just sewer, because pairing that with public water will actually be incredibly beneficial to the town.
And I want to just say one thing. I do remember, and it was really funny because we thought, I think it was over several years, we put 100,000 a year away, and we can find it out, but I don't think it matters. And then the bid came in at like 100,000 to do the whole sewer line. And it was just so much less than everybody was thinking too, which I found very interesting. Now, of course, that was 25 years ago, and there's a lot more headaches, but it would be interesting to see what it would cost to run a sewer line if we could get one over the hill to the Wardsboro School, because that's definitely a huge plus for us being on the sewer system versus a septic system. Because septic systems, when they fail, can be expensive, and plus it makes it very difficult. And I think, Tammy, haven't you had some issues with your septic over there?
Yeah, we've got a really interesting mound system right now with a spray house, which is getting very antiquated. And we've had some problems with the pump.
So, if that's something that maybe the school and
We're definitely interested in adding more users, no doubt about it.
Okay. So Laura, that may be something too that we could set up, at least that specific one for us. I think the other stuff is more of a town issue. But again, it would be a good discussion. So if you guys are all set, I told them 5 minutes.
It's a town, excuse me, Richard, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so I apologize. If I might just say, it's a town issue, but we've also had a tremendous amount of issues. Our administrator now has, a pseudo degree in public water. So a public water system would actually be tremendously beneficial to the school as well, so.
And I don't disagree, but I think, looking at the specific, we can work with them. So I appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you. And we'll have a discussion about this soon.
Okay.
Okay, so if you guys are all set, I've got a gentleman named Alan that joined us. Alan, can you just put your last name up, because Peter, our recording secretary, will need that. And if you're a member of the public, we kind of skipped over that and you weren't here. Is there something that, did you have anything to bring up, or? Excuse me. Okay, well, we'll get back to Alan, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is Alan Block, B-L-O-C-K. I don't know how to change my name on here, but I don't have anything. I'm just listening in.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
Yep.
Peter, did you get that name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So if we go back onto the agenda, central office, we don't have a superintendent's report, but what I did was, and I met with Kate, because Rick and I used to do this, then it got easier. Rick was good with, would just send things with an email, but I was trying to get Kate a little bit up to speed. In the future, we're gonna put central office up front so that they don't have to stay for the whole meeting, that we can do whatever we need to have them there for. So I just put these in as placeholders, but we don't have a superintendent's report. I'm going to hold off on the second draft of the 23 budget. We're gonna have a discussion about that when under new business for the annual meeting. And the board reapportionment after census, we're gonna have that discussion in February when the superintendent is here. So going through that, I'm gonna skip to members of the staff, and I think we have 3 members of the staff. I will start with, I know Valerie, you were here first. You can go first, and then I think we'll go to Samantha. Valerie, are you all set? We couldn't hear you. She's unmuted.
Yeah, it's not working.
We're not.
Let me try this. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. My headset's not working. I just wanted to share with the board that the 3rd and 4th graders are working on a project through the Brattleboro Museum and Art Center. We are constructing an artful ice shanty as a way to kind of wrap up some of our learning in science, weather hazards, overcoming weather hazards, and mostly how animals survive cold winters. So we're designing a ice shanty that is going to be on display at the Brattleboro retreat. I think it's the 17th, starting the 17th of February. And working with Katie Hughes, the art teacher, they're going to be painting murals showing different animals and their survival techniques, and creating a model of the school mascot as kind of a way to wrap up our learning and to tie in some of the STEAM. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
And this has been the winter, the last couple of weekends. It's been a little chilly. Thank you, Valerie. Samantha, did you have anything, or are you just visiting to hear about sewage?
Hi, Rich. I, of course, am here to hear about the sewage. What else? No, I really don't have anything. I just thought I'd listen in and say thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to move on then to old business. And under old business, we have school update during COVID. So Tammy, we'll let you go first.
Thank you for that, Rick. Now let me get some notes that I took down here. Well, COVID continues to play a role here at the schools. We've had several members of our learning community test positive or be exposed, forcing us to use the tools that we have in place, which is the Test to Save program at this time. We are anxiously awaiting our test at home, or TAH, supplies that should be coming in, I think, tomorrow. I think we got a supply so that we can begin to relinquish the testing to the families. So in those cases, if there were a positive exposure at school, unvaccinated students would be given testing kits for the students to test at home for the next 5 days. And I believe vaccinated students would need to test on day 4 or 5. I am having a hard time keeping up with the new changes because it is a lot to keep track of. I think other than that, that's all I really have to report as far as COVID goes. I'm sure Matt can probably fill in any gaps that I may have forgotten. Oh, I will have to say that our school nurse started just in time, and we have put her to good use for sure.
Thank you, Tammy. We'll let Matt speak, and then if there's any questions, I'll get you next, Laura.
I don't really have anything to add. It's the same story at Dover. Cases coming through, the staff is handling them well. And again, the timeliness of having the nurse on at this moment has been very good for us. So I appreciate that.
Okay, Laura.
Thanks, Rich. And thank you, Tammy and Matt. So I appreciate that you are still working under really stressful circumstances. Tammy, I heard you say it's hard to keep up. And, I would love to say, we could just try and generally, see if we can get things to be a little sharper. It feels like a lot of systems are kind of overloaded. So my question is there something specific or some specific things that would make life easier for you in keeping up with the changes? For instance, are you receiving emails from the correct person? Is there some way that we could improve communications? And if you don't have that answer now, that's okay. But I definitely would be interested if there are really specific tasks that we could try and make some progress on.
Yeah, Laura, I don't really necessarily have anything specific. I just know that, it's a little bit frustrating when the strategies or the testing protocols change, where we're relinquishing power, to the families, but then the testing supplies are not in hand when they're needed. So that has been a little bit of a frustration of mine. So I guess
So a timing.
Exactly. And I know there's a lot of different parts moving, but we've got to be on top of it, I think.
Maddie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Laura, I'd just like to add that we can't really change the science. The science changes as it changes, and so we react to it. But, I think we're getting good information from the central office. We're getting good support from the central office. The Agency of Education is communicating clearly with Bill. He's communicating with us clearly. The nursing staff has been fantastic, very flexible. I think the only thing that could be a little better, like Tammy said, is supplies. But even so, we still have supplies from the Test to Stay program that we're able to use. So we're trying to make the best of that option as well. So we're just anxiously awaiting those Test to Stay or the Test at Home supplies. And as soon as those hit the ground, we'll switch gears and we'll start administering that program.
So, Richard, can I just follow up really quickly? So I think what I heard is that it would have been helpful not to announce the program until we had the supplies in hand.
Matt's shaking his head yes, Laura.
Sure. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Is there any other and Tammy and Matt, is there any more questions about COVID in the school, or a school update for COVID? You guys all good? We'll move on then. Website update. So Matt was going to kind of work with that committee. Mark and Chad are our two board members that are I don't remember if they volunteered or they got volunteered, but I know they're on the committee. There were some people that we wanted but weren't available to us. So have you had a meeting yet?
We have not met. It looks like we're going to be able to meet tomorrow though at 2:00.
So next meeting you'll have an update.
Next meeting
for
we'll
us.
have an update. Yeah.
Okay, Mark and Chad, you guys all good? Do you have anything you want to bring up on it? No? Mark, you all set? Okay, then Laura, you all set or you hand up again or just didn't go down?
Sorry, I'm driving, Richard, so.
No, that's
can't
fine.
put down. Thanks.
I just didn't want to inaugurate you. So under new business, principals report. So other than COVID, Tammy or Matt, do you have anything? We'll let Matt go first this time.
Sure, Tammy started a report, so that should be in your packet as well. So there's some information about finishing up our mid-year benchmark assessments. That happened on Friday, was the last day. So this week we'll be processing through that data, retooling our academic programs to meet the needs of our individual students. So a super exciting time for us because we like to see what growth kids have made since the beginning of the year. And so we're looking forward to going through that process. Each school is at a different phase in that, but it's roughly around this time of year that all the schools in the district are going through that analysis and those shifts.
Okay. Tammy, you have anything else? And then Mark, I'll get to you once Tammy's done.
No, not really. Today was a professional development day for teachers. We focused on the keys to writing routines. Matt and I got to go to the K-2 group, which unfortunately was virtual, obviously due to COVID, and gathering a bunch of teachers together in one room probably was not the wisest idea, so that we opted to do it virtually. I'm just excited to see what teachers put into place after attending the training. I thought there was a lot of really great stuff that was covered during the training. So it's always fun to go to those.
Thank you, Tammy. Mark, you got your hand up there, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Matt if he can send that that report out. It wasn't in the documents that Bill sent.
Oh, well, of course, we will definitely do that.
So since it didn't go out, let me just go through it real quick, and then if you guys have any questions. So classroom teacher, academic support teachers are working to complete winter benchmark and diagnostics assessments. That's where they see how we're doing through the year, and they make, like Tammy, I think, or Matt said, they make adjustments. On today, all teachers were involved with the professional development. I think Tammy spoke to that. Teachers have started working on developing the mid-year report cards, so that was like my least favorite time of year during school. Be nice to me. And there will be an in-service day on Tuesday, tomorrow, 1:25, dedicated processing mid-year report cards. When do you speak to that?
We didn't say anything about that, did we, Tim? That's tomorrow.
But that's district-wide. They want consistency between all of Wyndham Central schools. Personalized learning. River Valley schools are participating in winter sports at Mount Snow. Dover is also taking advantage of the Southern Vermont Trails Association's snowshoeing program on Thursday afternoons. And 3rd and 4th grade students at Wardsboro are participating. Valerie Bills mentioned the Artful Ice Shanties contest in Brattleboro, a functional ice shanty that must withstand the wind, snow, and ice in mid-February. I don't know, it may be easier in mid-February than it would be in late January. High quality staffing, they talk about the school nurse and how helpful she was. She started January 3rd, and I think Tammy mentioned that. Safe and healthy schools continue to navigate pandemic, adapting to changing guidances, circumstances, and testing programs. There's been a surge in positive cases following the holiday break, and they're balancing the safety of students and staff while holding in-person learning. And then financial efficiencies. Some of you saw an email, but Matt had some issues at his building with the ventilators malfunctioning, and he has worked with Greg, our facilities person, to get them taken care of. And I liked his last sentence. It would seem that winters on Dover Hill may be a little more harsh than originally thought. Who'da thunk it? And I will tell you, we interviewed a principal one time who we kind of thought was pretty decent, and the next day we were told that that person had left the Dover school after the interview and said there's no way she would ever teach in Dover because she was never going to drive that hill in the winter. So it is harsh. Mark, you had your hand up, or were you or are you all set? You moved. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Seeing none. Kate shaking her head no. Waiting study update. Mr. Mark went and testified before the Senate, and I don't know, are they going to let you talk anymore, or did you make them ugly?
Not really sure how to answer that question. I testified in front of Senate Education in regards to ELL, as did one of the coalition's board members, Allison Knott, who's a Rutland City Public School. I don't know if they're commissioners or board members over there. No, basically, I tried to give them the information that they need so that they make a decision to not go with grants for ELL, and hopefully for the larger picture as well. What we know at this point is that Senate Education is leaning away from grants. So right now they are our friends. Yeah, I think that's.
So, Mark, if they're leaning away from, where are they coming from? Who in the subcommittee? Was it the House members from the subcommittee, or why?
No, it was the two chairs of the task force, Senator Ruth Hardy from Addison and Representative Emily Kornheiser from Brattleboro, were the two champions for grants. And they were able to bring many of their or task force members along with them, at least for the conversation. I don't want to get into individual people, but there are some members of the task force that were never fully on board with the concept of grants, but felt that because the final report gave two recommendations, one were the grants and one were the weights, with the exception of ELL, which that was pulled out as a categorical grant for both. They felt that there was enough conversation still to be had in there in the committees of jurisdiction that they were willing to vote for the report. So that's where we're at now. Senate Finance is taking up the issue of the reverse foundation formula versus the weights. And that would be for the poverty, rurality, and small schools. And Ways and Means in the House is also taking that up, although not in a official manner at this point, because the Senate is taking the lead on all topics, people waiting.
All right, thank you, Mark. Laura, did you want to throw anything out there since you're up under the Golden Dome this week?
Yeah, I think that folks, what the beauty of one of the benefits of the pandemic is that it is possible to go back and watch at your leisure the committee hearings where these issues are being taken up. And that is really enormously helpful. And it's good. It's good for the debate. The House Ways and Means Committee has set aside time on Thursday mornings to get brought up to speed on the work of the task force. Representative Kornheiser is the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee. As Mark said, she was the co-chair of the task.
Laura, I think we lost you. She's in one of the dips.
Yeah, must be Valley.
She Sports
So,
Association.
hey, Laura, we lost
Can you hear her?
we lost your last couple minutes.
Okay, can you hear me now, Richard?
Yeah, you're real good now.
say that you can watch Ways and Means on Thursday mornings. It's good information. I think it's important to understand how this issue is being framed. One of the Social Equity Caucus in the House has gotten involved in this around the potential civil rights issues that may be at play here for ELL, and also around the issue of harm. The task force, their report was really framed in a manner that indicated the place we find ourselves just sort of happened gradually over time. And not that it was something that has been wrong since Act 60 and 68 and causing harm. So that is the Ways and Means Thursday mornings, watching this ELL weight issue around potential civil rights issues and the notion of harm. Those are topics that I am monitoring and participating in. Tomorrow, we will have a resolution on the floor honoring school boards. So I expect to have a few comments then as well. Thank you.
I guess what really drives me up the wall, since having been fighting this for a while, is that they knew it was wrong and it wasn't something gradual, because within a few years is when they gave us all the weights. I mean, all the grants, because they knew the weights were wrong. And instead of correcting the weights, they did it through grants, which then, I don't know. Mark,
I'm sorry, Richard, I'm sorry. I don't know that we've ever discussed, they knew that the weights were wrong. That may be something to follow up on if in fact that's the case. We may want to follow up on that.
Well, that's why they started doing all the grants, because they knew things were wrong, and they did a reweight where they brought high school students way down, and then they did the small school grant that they kept messing with. So, but anyways, Mark, I cut you off, so go ahead, Mark. Sorry about that.
I hadn't started speaking, so you hadn't cut me off. All I was going to say was that if anybody who wants to watch any of the hearings that have anything to do with people waiting can go to the coalition's website, the legislature page. I have a link to every meeting starting, I think, in 2019. I think that is available online. So that's all.
Thank you. So is there anybody else, any other discussion on waiting? So again, it's something we really got to kind of pay attention to. And I know Laura and Mark and the other people at Wyndham Central have been it's really important to write letters and to keep our legislators know what's going on, besides our House rep, who I think has a clue what's happening. But we want to make sure we keep our senators, up to speed too. So I see nothing. Mark shaking his head. Let's move on to annual meeting, discussion and possible action. So I think Mark may have brought this up at our last meeting, or at some point Mark and I had a discussion, but I believe the governor signed the legislation that allows us as a board, yep, so Mark's saying yes, that allows us as a board to move the annual meeting out. The town of Dover voted at their last select board meeting last Tuesday to push it out into the spring, but they haven't set a date yet. Last year, we pushed it out to meet in conjunction, because our meeting was supposed to be in Wardsboro last year. So we met at the same time not the same time, we met early, and the Wardsboro Select Board did their town meeting afterwards. So earlier we had a thing, because we were going to have to get the budget together. There are some numbers. Kate and I met with Lori Garland, and there's still some numbers out there. Not all the tuition numbers have come in. And there's a few other numbers that she's working on. And the longer we go, the more tuition. She's waiting for some second half tuition bills to see what we're going to have for a surplus or a deficit. What her projections are. And again, they can all change, because if things get really bad somewhere, we may have a lot of new students coming to the Dover and Wardsboro sides. But I would like to suggest that we postpone the meeting to a date to be determined in the future, And that way we can have better numbers, and again, we can do something, in the future. I don't think now is the time to have the discussion or start pushing on, are we gonna send ballots out to everybody? Are we gonna do a virtual meeting? Are we gonna do an in-person meeting? But at least give us a little bit more time to have that discussion in February and March. So all I would like to do is, if we could, and I'll get to you in 1 second, Mark, is I'd like to just have an agreement amongst the board that we are going to not set for where we had our annual meeting, which was March. Mark will know.
March.
What, do you remember when it was, Mark?
April, I think.
Yeah, sometime beginning of April, wasn't it?
I remember, second.
No.
Yeah, I could find it. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, but it's, I believe it's, I agree with Mark, it's sometime the beginning of April. So, Mark, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say the legislation does not allow for a virtual annual/town meeting. That has to be either by Australian ballot or in person.
In person, okay, thank you. Did anybody, are people good with that? Do we want to do that as a board to push that off? And we'll see when the town of Dover's planning on doing theirs and try to work with them at the same time. And I think I've always felt that it's important to have an in-person meeting, especially that we're going to be working on the makeup of the board and asking for the voters possibly to vote on a change. And if we do that, I think it's good to have that discussion with people, because again, I think it makes a big difference in people getting to understand and making better decisions, maybe. But again, it's up to you. Go ahead, Mark.
So just a reminder, if we're going to make a change to the articles of agreement, that has to be by Australian ballot. So it's not something that would be discussed, or even, I mean, at the annual meeting, it would kind of be too late at that point.
No, I think when we had that discussion, we were gonna put that off to one of the national elections, or the statewide elections, so we could have it as a discussion under other business if we don't vote for it by ballot at that time.
True.
So that was my thought, that at the annual meeting, we could have that discussion, and then that would help us make our decisions on what we want to present as a ballot question, because yes, it ought to be voted on. Chad, he's still in the city, I see. You guys all, is everybody good with that? Is there anybody that's just dying to keep the meeting at the beginning of April? Kate's good.
Good with that. Just
Laura,
as long as we're being clear. And Richard, inadvertently, you talked about lining up with the town of Dover, and we also need to line up with Wardsboro, I think, also just check in with them.
Yeah, the meeting's in Dover this year, and we did not check in with the town of Dover last year. We had, I met with the Wardsboro Select Board because because of renting the tent and stuff, and they were willing to let us share their tent. Dover may do something at Mount Snow again, or they may, in the spring, we may be able to locate it, have it right at the town hall. Dwight, I think I got a thumbs up from you. Yeah, Chad, are you okay with that? Okay, so we will push that off, and I think West River votes on their budget tonight, and that's always the big one for the central office. So I think in February, Kate and I are gonna meet with Bill on the Thursday before our meetings, so that we can go through the agenda and make sure we're all on the same page. Again, it's something Rick and I were doing quite a bit in the beginning. Until we got pretty good with it, so we didn't need to do it as much. I just want to make sure that Kate's, as your vice chairman, is up to speed. So then the next thing, believe it or not, is upcoming meetings. So obviously February 7th is our first Monday. We're good there. President's Day is our second meeting. And because we've decided that we didn't want to meet on holidays, I was throwing out maybe February 28th as a meeting. Now, I think, Kate, you said that's school's not in session then?
No, school wasn't in session on President's Day, which is the 21st, which is the one we're thinking of skipping because it's the holiday.
Okay,
That's
so-
school. Oh wait, you're right though. No, you're totally right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
School is not in session on the 28th of February or March 1st for Wardsboro, and I believe Dover too. I think there's some
Right.
either
You-
in-service days or something.
Well, usually March 1st is town meeting day that everybody gets off, and we've never had it where they come back for a day and then get a day off, so they've always had a little extended winter break. How does the board feel about meeting on the 28th? Or do we want to just wait till March 7th, which would be the following Monday? Mark, which one are you thumbs up for?
The 28th.
Meet on the 28th? Dwight and Chad?
Yeah, I'm fine with the 28th. I think if we continue to push out, it's just going to put a lot of things on our plate in a tighter time frame. So the 28th makes more sense, I think.
Okay. Dwight?
Yeah, I would agree. That's 28 is good for me.
Laura, you okay with the 28th?
Sure thing.
Because that's break anyways, isn't it, for legislature that week?
Is that town meeting week?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so Peter, where did you go? You're over there. Peter, we're gonna plan on meeting February 7th, February 28th, and March 7th. Matt, you're gonna have a meeting tomorrow for the web stuff, so you'll be able to have something for us at that meeting.
7th, yeah. We should have
Okay.
7th.
So the web group will have a report for us there. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, the governor has signed S-222, which permits all remote meetings as long as there's a call-in option because of COVID.
Yeah, so I think we're still gonna have a live place because, we ask our students and staff to go somewhere, so unless the board really does not wanna do it, I kinda like having Matt here so I can talk to him and he keep me straight, and then Bill has been good about coming to the meeting, so is the board okay with that, or do you wanna go all remote? Cause the other thing, Mark, remember you told me that I'm gonna have to get used to hybrid meetings for the rest of my life.
I did say that.
I know you did.
I still think that we should be doing everything on the side of caution. I don't buy the argument that because students and teachers are in person that government entities need to be also. They're the ones that have to be responsible for those people, and therefore it's more important that they stay healthy. But I was just letting you know that option is out there.
No, thank you. Are we okay having a live location, or does the board not want to do that?
I'm fine with a live location.
Kate?
Fine with it as long as the administrators feel safe doing it too. If they ever get to the point where they don't feel safe being in person, I hope that they'll speak up and say something.
Matt, if you don't want to do this, let me know.
We'll speak up. I will speak up.
Okay, Chad and Dwight?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some great safety protocols in place, and following them makes the comfortability level go up. Certainly miss the personal connectivity, but the safety first. So if we can continue to act in a safe way, then I'm absolutely all for it.
Dwight, sir?
Yeah, the warmer the better. I think it wasn't last year. We did it sometime around Memorial Day weekend or something, or right around there.
Yeah, no.
Seconds.
Yeah, the question I'm asking is, are you guys good with we don't have to have a live location anymore because when the governor signed the bill.
Right.
So that was the question. Are you okay with us having a live one, and the option is up to the individual people?
Yeah, I think so at this point. I mean, things can change, but, question of whether it's indoors or outdoors and what the situation is. So I don't think it's something we have to decide now, but I'd be okay with it.
Okay. Mark, are you all set, or was your hand just up from before? Okay, so I do not believe that you guys are gonna believe me, but I have nothing for executive session, and I don't think Matt or Tammy does. So our next meeting's gonna be February 7th. WCSU is this Wednesday. It's gonna be at the Dover School, right?
I don't know, haven't heard.
Okay, I don't remember where the live spot is, but it is available as a hybrid. And I think, Dwight, you and Mark are our other two members. Are you both gonna be able to make that? Okay, and then anybody else can attend, but you can speak, you just don't get to vote. We have 3 voting members. So, that's Wednesday night, and then we meet again on the 7th, so you actually got a week and a half off. Hopefully, Valerie Bills can make sure her shanty is warm. It's supposed to get cold in the next couple days, but hopefully you guys are all warm. And I am looking for that special motion we always hear at the end of a meeting. Oh, who's Scott?
Scotch.
Hey, actually, hang on. Hey, Scott, I'm not sure who you are. Can you just let us know so Peter can add you to the agenda?
Ouch, I'll pretend I won't take offense. No, shit, Scott Sauer.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so
Sorry, I missed that.
Scott Salway, he's the representative, he's our liaison from the school to the Town of Dover Select Board. Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to adjourn at 7:15 PM.
Thank you, Kate. Second on that?
Second.
Okay, Laura,
Richard,
thank
can
you.
you call me, please?
I will call you, please. Okay, folks, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, and stay warm.